Hello and welcome to the Right Click Save podcast. I'm your host Calcio, joined as always by my fellow host Jimmy T. Today we're also in the studio with Holger, the founder of MetaBrew Society.
Yeah, I really like this NFT project, and not just because you get free beer as one of the perks of holding the NFT, but because they took a really good community-first approach to building their project.
I will never argue at anything that's free and beer after my NFT NYC experience where I was paying $14 for a can. Without further ado though, Jimmy, I think we should open the garage and jump into the episode. But just before we do, if you haven't already subscribed to the RCS pod, we'd really appreciate it if you could. We do big interviews with big names in the space every single week, alongside delivering fun and informative videos on the NFT space as it develops. We're joined today by Holger, one of the founders of MetaBrew Society. And Holger, I wanted to jump straight in with your mission statement, which is essentially to become Web3's beer brand and community, the biggest that they offer. I want to know how you plan on integrating Web3 into a brewery, really, and how you plan on making that work.
Yeah, I think for us, the central element of Web3 certainly is the community. I mean, there's several elements. One certainly is kind of blockchain, NFT, etc. But the central element for us is the community, and as a matter of fact, the community has helped us shape the project as it is today. So when we started initially, we had a little bit of different concept, but the interaction with the community has shaped it as it is today. And also going forward, the community for us is going to be an integral part of what we're doing, and we do believe that this is. I mean, that's the special thing about Web3 involving a community, so kind of interaction, etc. Doing something together, but we believe that this is a win-win actually also for the business. For the business and for the community, actually. Think about things like kind of product development. And we said from early on, we think that we need to do things different in the brewing industry, or different than the established players in the brewing industry, to be able to be successful and to be a profitable company. And not basically just selling basic beer, but going into kind of beer innovation, doing things differently, and realizing that is a challenge, because if you do things new, if you're pioneers in something, you could be terribly wrong with what you're going out to the market. So being able to do some good market research and optimize product market fit is an important element. And we think that kind of building in the community into the company, into product development, into kind of how we go to market, will actually help us to become more successful and help us to avoid mistakes that you do if you can check for product market fit, with actually a kind of, we think of our community like as they're partners in the business in a way, but at the same time they're target group, and in the same time they're brand ambassadors. And in the same time, they're a focus group, which is built into the business. And large consumer brands, they spend fortunes on focus groups, trying to learn about how people think about their product, about their category, about what their desires are, their needs, about what innovation would appeal to them. And we think that kind of involving the community, having them in there and building products, innovative products around them and around their feedback will actually be a very important part of our story, and will be probably one of the foundations on which we can build success.
Absolutely. I think that community first approach is so key in Web3, and probably differently to any other business in any other industry. It's so important within Web3. How do you go about, or how have you gone about sort of initializing building that community?
So we We started early on. The first thing we did was we started a Twitter account, and started interacting with people. But then very early on, we opened the Discord, and Discord has been a pretty powerful tool for us. From on, we had some content channel on Discord where we got feedback from the community. We had that chat. We opened chats about different topics, chats that are focused around beer quality, beer reviews, and this was basically how we started interacting with the community. And in the first couple of weeks, when also the concept of the project was still evolving, I probably spent like 20 hours a day in that chat, basically being in interaction with the community, and a lot of what we see in the project today, and a lot of what we believe are strong points for the project today, came out of an interaction with the community, and Discord. That platform actually has been a very important element for us to be able to be in conversation with our community, to do announcements about our ideas, collect immediate feedback, then reshape our thinking, reshape the concept, and that has helped us quite a lot. So maybe one example, and a very important example for us. The original concept or the original idea in our project was actually that we wanted to do the mint first, and then we actually said we're going to set a threshold of basically 3,000 NFTs, so $3 million, which we need to mint in order to be able to acquire the brewery, to be able to afford buying the brewery, and then there were a lot of discussions in the community that actually like, what happens if we don't sell these 3,000 NFTs? And in the beginning, it was still kind of April, May. We said, well, don't worry. I mean, the concept's great, and we're confident that we'll mint out, and we have a lot of traction, etc. And at that time, it would have probably still worked, but couple weeks later, when the market ultimately crashed, there would have been no way with that concept to mint 3,000 NFTs, because what would have happened is everyone would have sat there, the mint, and would have waited for the threshold to be reached. And psychologically, if everyone waits for something until it happens, it never happens. We then said, actually, so if we don't reach the 3,000 NFTs, we're going to pay back the money. But also that was not satisfactory to the community. So we came to the conclusion that our answer obviously wasn't satisfactory. And then we started thinking about basically turning it around, taking away risk from the NFT holders, from the community, raising funding from the outside first to be able to buy the brewery. And this way, basically kind of taking the risk out of the project. So there's no minimum threshold in the mint anymore. The NFT holder will get the utility, because now we have the funding, now we own the brewery, and now we can actually do the operations. And that was really something that came out of the discussion with the community, and lots of other things. So it is already an important and an integral part, and we're happy about our core community who challenges us every day.
I think community is really important, and it's a pillar of any business, right? Being able to make a community care about a product, but not just on a financial level. If we think about the inaugural members of your Discord that helped you make those early decisions, they are just going to be intrinsically more invested in the product long term. Scaling it back, though, for people who are not that versed on MetaBrew, for our audience that might not have heard of you guys, could you give us a quite succinct, really, summary on what the product is and what it's actually going to be doing, and what the main utility is?
Absolutely. So the first thing is we've acquired a brewery. We've acquired a real-life brewery in Bavaria, Germany, with 120 years of history. It has been in family ownership for 120 years. We're the new owners now, and this feels pretty amazing, actually. So with that brewery, we're going to deliver a lot of utility to our NFT holders. So the first thing is every NFT holder will get on average 200 cans of free beer per year. And the plan is in perpetuity, basically forever. So our motto is free beer for life. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but really kind of our goal and our belief is that we'll be able to deliver free beer for life. In addition to that, we will have events for the community. There are going to be 2 big events a year. We're going to have, by the end of September this year, we're having our first Septemberfest at the brewery. We originally wanted to call it Oktoberfest, but then found out it's a trademark by the city of Munich. So and we were creative and called it Septemberfest, and then kind of another E slipped in, so we now call it Septemberfest. And so it has been quite established already in the community. So everyone tells it like that now. So there's going to be the Septemberfest, which is a 3-day beer festival at the brewery. 3 days, traditional music, traditional food, free beer as much as you can drink, and a happy community just celebrating to be there. We're going to have guided tours through the brewery, and everyone actually can experience our home base. We're going to have a second large event per year, which is going to be a Springfest, where we're going to do the equivalent of the Septemberfest in Las Vegas.
Oh, nice.
We're having a partner project, the Booze Bears, and as you can imagine from the name, they have similar beliefs and goals as we do. So and we basically just partnered, and they're going to organize a Springfest for both communities actually in Las Vegas. Also 3 days, free beer for everyone who attends. In addition to that, we offer brewing classes to the NFT holders. We offer guided tours through the brewery. We have an affiliate program that is a very important pillar for us as a business, but also we think a very attractive utility for the NFT holders. The affiliate program works in a way that every NFT holder receives 20% commission, 20% kickback on all sales that we do with customers that the particular NFT holder has acquired for us. So if you go down, you acquire a bar at the corner, they buy our beer. Every time they're going to buy our beer in the future, you'll get 20% of the revenues we make with them. So that can be a pretty attractive thing. Oh, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention about the utility, the 200 cans per year. So we're breaking this up into 4 quarterly allowances. They will be airdropped as NFTs into the wallets of the NFT holders. And with those quarterly allowance NFTs, you can do 2 things. Either you burn them to claim the quarterly beer allowance, so you get the beer shipped home, quarter of the annual allowance, or you resell them on the secondary market. So you can even monetize them. Yeah, I think that's also an important part. And kind of last not least, the utility in terms of utility. We're going to find a way to have our Genesis NFT holders, so the 6,000 NFTs that we're going to drop now, participate in the success of the company. And this is a little bit the tricky part, because my attorney tells me every time I'm not supposed to actually talk about the expectation of getting a financial return when investing into a MetaBrew Society NFT. So I explicitly say, I'm not saying this is a financial return. I'm saying this is a participation in the success of the company. I'm not saying it's a financial return, but we will find a way that every NFT holder will participate in the success of the company if or when we are successful.
The fact that you guys have a 120-year-old brewery of 120 years of history, does this in theory make you guys the oldest Web3 company in theory?
In a way, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's some whiskey NFTs that I've learned about where where the distilleries, they're a similar age, but we're certainly competitive on that part. Yeah, definitely.
How did you actually approach the fundraising though? Because I think this is a really important step in the process. The normal archetypal NFT project does exactly this. They go, hi guys, we have an idea. Unfortunately, we have no money. We need some money. So if you guys buy all of our NFTs, we'll wait a few years. And then after a few years,
we have some money.
We'll give you maybe a game or something, right? You guys actually flipped the script, like you mentioned, and you actually went and raised the capital beforehand, acquired the brewery. You've been doing, I think it's €8 for 3 cans shipped anywhere in the world, which obviously for you guys can't be a financially beneficial thing, right? It's about getting the brand out there and showing that you're there. How did you actually go about raising the funds? Was it predominantly VC that had no experience of crypto, or were they people who were already in the crypto space who wanted more of the crypto space?
So it was part. So the interesting thing is that it has been our concept from early on that we say we want to show, so we want to give something to the community before we even mint. That we want to show that kind of first we can brew beer, and that we can do logistics. That is something that we even did before we raised the funding. Yeah, so we own a kind of small semi-professional kind of basement brewery. Already we're brewing some beer there. So we, from early on, actually, we wanted to be able to show that we can do what we tell them we can. And so we're shipping beer, and yes, you're right. I mean, it's not profitable. But when we took the conclusion, or when we took the decision that we want to raise funds to be able to acquire the brewery, what we actually did, we just reached out in our personal networks. So for the background, we're a founders team of 7. We're all entrepreneurs. We've all been entrepreneurs for a while. I mean, we're all not in our early 20s anymore. We're in our, I'd say, mid-30s till mid-40s, all of us basically. With one exception, Wolfgang, kind of one of the founders, he's even in his mid-60s already. So kind of, we have quite some experience, and having been around as entrepreneurs for a while, we also have a relevant network. So it actually was a couple phone calls with people who have never heard of Web3 NFTs. I mean, they've heard about crypto, but NFTs was something they've read in the paper and not really kind of familiar with what it was. But what we basically told them is, look, kind of, this is an experiment, and these were all people that have invested in businesses of us before, and I can also say, I mean, they've made money with us before. Yeah, so kind of
that helps.
Yeah, for sure. So they knew that kind of, if we, as a group, as we came together, if we jump on something with full belief, and the bigger part of the founders team is doing this full time, and kind of we bet our time and partly also our money on it, then there must be something behind. So this was an easy opener, yeah. And then we started actually laying out the concept, basically saying, look, this is Web3. It's all new, it's experimental, but we're pioneers. We believe that kind of the brewing industry actually is a pretty good area to be active in Web3 early on, because the kind of the typical Web3 audience is male, is young, is innovative, is tech-affine, and beer is not far for this kind of audience. Yeah, so there is a natural fit, and there's a natural excitement about the topic. At the same time, the traditional brewing industry is actually doing nothing to be appealing to exactly this kind of audience. So if we can build a community and brand ambassadors around kind of this core idea, and we can be innovative with them, there is a real opportunity that we can be successful and that we do something exceptional, that we do something disruptive, combining basically an innovative new sales model, sales channel approach with a completely uninnovative, old-fashioned industry. And they bought into it.
I find this really interesting. One of the things that really interests me about your project is how the Web3 side and the Web2 side can kind of integrate and help each other. So how much of a focus are you guys planning to do on building the brand into the Web2 side of things to help with both onboarding people into Web3, but also I think the bigger your brand is, the more value gets driven at the Web3 side of your product too?
Yeah, I mean, we say we want to be the Web3 beer brand. Yeah, at the same time, yes, Web3 is still a relatively small space, even though, I mean, I think probably going mainstream much faster than Web1 and Web2 because just kind of technology adoption gets faster and faster. However, still it's a relatively small space. So the Web3 brewery won't be able to survive without the Web2 audience and without, still traditional Web2 ways of selling and approaching things. So, and this is indeed our belief that if we want to be successful, we need to build a bridge between Web2 and Web3. And we're already using Web2 mechanisms. I mean, the affiliate program that I just mentioned, I mean, it's governed through an NFT because what I just said before, the kind of the commission or the kickback you're getting, you're only receiving for as long as you're holding the NFT. So there is an incentive built in to hold on to it, to be with us for the long term, and then to actually reap off the benefit from it over the long term, rather than basically go in and flip it. But the concept itself of basically using kind of an affiliate program is totally Web2, and we use it even more than we use it even into the IRL non kind of internet world, because it's not only a Web2 or a web-based affiliate program. You can even go out and acquire real life customers on the street. And you still get the benefit from that. Yeah. So we're trying to basically cover all sales channels, but our experience, and that's also something. So I myself, I've been active in the Web2 for quite a while now. So I have the distribution rights for a number of American cosmetics brands for the German speaking market. And I've established these brands. I've built them, brought them into brick and mortar retail, but also basically built an online presence and built kind of online sales. So built the brands online. So I do have quite some experience on Web2, and this is something that we can build on. And this is something that we can build on in many ways, because we know all the tools from performance marketing, social media advertising. We do have a fulfillment center there already from the cosmetics business, which is currently also fulfilling the beer. So there is a team there that knows how to do logistics and how to do international logistics. And the tools are there. So we certainly want to make use of basically all these sales channels, and at the same time, as you say, onboard Web2 people also into the Web3 world. And kind of the bridge that we're building there is basically a mint by credit card. Because I think what Starbucks just announced is pretty genius, in a way that kind of it gets 100 million loyalty card holders onto crypto and NFTs without even noticing that they're on crypto and NFTs.
Which is key, really, really important.
That's a main point, a key point for mainstream adoption. And I mean, we don't have that audience of 100 million. We have to build it. So we have to start from zero.
I'm sure there's 100 million people that are drinking beer.
Oh, for sure, but they're still not in our Discord yet.
Yeah, which leads me nicely onto my next question, actually, because what excites me about your project is exactly what you're saying here: your ability to bridge the gap. A bit of a cliche statement in the industry at the moment, but your product starts with a perk, with the fact this lifetime beer supply, all the other things like the festivals and the other ways of getting involved in the beer community. That's a stand-up perk which attracts people in, and then you say, oh, and to get that, you purchase this NFT, and it's a part of an onboarding strategy. How many of your kind of community members that you have in your Discord, even at the moment, pre-mint, have come in and this is going to be their first NFT? Do you have a lot of people like that?
There are quite some, yes. So the early people in the community, they were kind of full in Web3. But what happened is they started reaching out to their friends and basically saying, here, there's a cool thing, and there's a project where I can explain you how an NFT works and how utility works, and kind of you get it, yeah. So they kind of there's some tangible utility, nothing that has to do with kind of believing in whatever. There's something that you can touch and feel and drink, swallow. Yeah, so
it's not just magic beans.
Yeah,
I think that lifetime draw is massive. Like, I can't lie, when we first started chatting, I remember just being like, I was starting to think about having a lifetime supply of beer. And I got
Can you
quite
not
excited.
give him a lifetime supply of beer, please? It affects the ability for us to record episodes of the podcast.
I'm just super interested how that's going to work, though, because I know you've got all of these different things, these levels to the sales, and it is genuinely really clever how you've put together such a multifaceted sales attack. How did you decide that was the way you were going to go with it, though, just being so blasé as to say lifetime supply?
I mean, our idea was really that we want to build the brand around a community that stays with us for the long term. And if we say something like, we give you a year of free beer and then we sell the next NFT for another year of free beer, we have to get familiar with the new community basically every year. So we rather want to build a core community around which we can really kind of build and succeed and thrive, and that stays with us for the long term. And I personally just believe that this lifetime thing, as you said, kind of it's so attractive. It's different and it's attractive. And then we started actually sitting down and doing the math and saying, kind of, what does it take that we can offer that lifetime that lifetime allowance. And so there's a little kind of small print about it, I have to be honest. So what we say when you mint is that we guarantee that you'll get it for 3 years. Yeah, that's what we can guarantee from the proceeds of the mint. So if you mint your NFT and the price is going to be $1,000 in ETH, if you mint your NFT, it covers your utility for the first 3 years. So the worst deal, the minimum you'll get out is 600 cans of free beer over 3 years, delivered home for free. So this is really the worst case, the worst deal. That's what we really guarantee. And so that already, I think, is not a bad deal. But we give you our commitment that if we're able within those 3 years to build a profitable operational business, that is able to back shipping that utility in the future, we will continue forever. For as long as we can afford it, we will reinvest all profits of the business into covering the utility first. Because the community is the energy and the lifeblood and what we believe this brand will rest on. And And the community for us also will be an important driver and an important element for achieving that, being profitable within 3 years. Because with the affiliate program that I mentioned before, we potentially have 6,000 brand ambassadors and salespeople. And that's the reason why we structured that affiliate program that attractive, so that it really matters and it's really attractive basically for everyone to go out and say, hey, I'm part of this. And if I can contribute to it to be profitable within the first 3 years, then I will receive free beer forever. So there's quite a motivation built into the case, yeah. So and this is it's only one of 3 pillars of kind of why we believe this can be successful. But I think it's an important element, and so kind of the community can fulfill the prophecy of the lifetime supply if they help us sell the product.
I like this. I like the economics behind it as well, because there's a really interesting dynamic in that, in theory, your NFT is kind of backed by a real world asset, because obviously it's got an associated amount of beer that comes with the asset itself. So in theory, it should do well to retain its value or increase in value as your brand grows. I think it's going to be interesting how that affects the secondary market, and you guys being able to also take some profit and help support the offering through the royalties and secondary sales.
So royalties is for us is not a factor.
Okay.
As I said before, we believe that, or we would like to keep our community stable. We would like to our community to hold on to the NFTs, and so therefore we've built in incentives to hold on to it. So you're not going to get, even if you've been the most successful sales guy on the planet for our beer, you're not going to get any additional kickbacks if you sell the NFT. The moment you sell the NFT, that was the last day where you've received your kickback. So this alone should prevent people from selling that. Also, the other element that I said before, you will only be able to participate in the success of the company for a given year if you've held the NFT for the entire calendar year. Yeah, which should be another incentive to hold on to it. Yeah. So if you're not getting 3/4 of it if you sell it in September, and you're not getting 1/4 of it if you're buying in September. You're only getting the benefit of kind of participating in the success if you've held it for the entire calendar year. And so therefore, we don't even plan with royalty, and royalty shouldn't be a factor in our business model.
Okay, I like that. It's interesting, and I like the fact that you've got these motivations to make people hold on, because that again increases the sort of scarcity, and should be effective for your business model.
It's massively interesting to see a more business-like approach to a Web3 product. We're very used to, as I said earlier, people coming on to the space and that they have this good idea about a magic animal project that has no real substance and ultimately doesn't have a lot of the caveats that a proper, quotation marks, business has, i.e. how are we going to make people care for longer than 5 minutes? Off the back of that, one of the most traditional things we see in the brewer game for smaller breweries is loads of partnerships, because obviously it blends communities together. Can we expect to see a lot of MetaBrew Society collaborations in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, we're doing them already. You may have seen that we've done a kind of Moonbirds brew, for example. That was kind of an unofficial collaboration. Originally, it's turning more into or step by step, we're getting closer to an official collaboration, even though we're not completely there yet. But we're currently for example, they're currently featuring our project in the Proof Discord. So we've given out whitelist spots through a pre-mint link, and it's posted in the Proof Discord for Proof members, Moonbird holders, and oddities. and the way that, I mean, we hold a proof pass, and we have Moonbirds in the team, but how we actually approached it is, I was in New York City at that NYC conference, and I was at the proof and at the Moonbirds party, and I was basically telling people all evening what we're doing with the brewery, right? So people said, a lot of people said, wow, you should do a Moonbird brew. And I heard it that often in that evening that I went home and I called our artist the same evening, said, hey, can we do a Moonbird brew? What does it take? Yeah, so how long does it take you? And the next morning I woke up and I had kind of the can design for Moonbird brew in my email.
Nice.
So I went out of the hotel and I tweeted, here, kind of free Moonbirds brew for all Moonbirds and proof members. And the official proof account picked it up, so they retweeted it. And within like 48 hours, we had like 400 orders of the Moonbirds brew. And since then we have a lot of Moonbirds also in our community active, and they kept spreading the word, and we were invited to AMAs and stuff like that. And so then I finally reached out a couple of days ago, basically whether they would be willing to feature us in the Proof Discord, and here we are. And so I think, I mean, there's never anything guaranteed, but I would be pretty sure that if Moonbirds Proof is ever going to do something in the beer space, that will be the partner. I think we're probably in a pretty good position for that. And you know what? I mean, just the Proof ecosystem is such an interesting ecosystem. There's so many builders, so there's so many other projects around. So from that Proof connection, they have so many other collaborations resulted already. And we're currently kind of doing pre-mint raffles, etc., with a ton of other projects that feature us, that found us actually in the Proof ecosystem.
Having been part of a numerous Web3 communities, a lot of them do look to kind of put together a beer. In particular, we had Crypto Dads, and they spent a long time trying to go through all the regulatory concerns and putting a beer together. If there's someone in the space with that experience who's able to do these collaborations and do short runs with collaborations with specific projects, I can just see that being hugely popular in this space. And as you mentioned much earlier in the podcast, because the demographic of people that are into Web3 is so synergistic with people who drink beer, basically.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've done many collaborations. Yeah, we have like 10 branded or co-branded beers in our warehouse already. So we're doing collaborations. Are they real partnerships? Well, I would say probably from all the collaborations we have done, there are probably two projects I would mention right now that I would say we have real partnerships with, or maybe three. Kind of the first one of them is the Booze Bears that I've mentioned before. That it was just a perfect fit. Yeah? So they have a community that's centered more in the United States. We're more centered in Europe. They promised their community something about beer, so they wanted to make a Booze Bears beer. We're going to fulfill that. Yeah. So we're going. We actually announced. It was funny. We announced the partnership like 2 weeks ago, and the evening we announced it, before we announced it, the floor price of the Booze Bear was something like $30, and we did an AMA together. And I said, well, based on the beer utility that we're going to deliver, the floor price should be $100. Yeah, because we promised every Booze Bear like 24 cans of beer delivered home for free. per year. So kind of it's a kind of about a tenth of what we do at MetaBrew, but still, I mean, it's an entry level kind of beer thing. And within hours, the Booze Bear's floor price went up from $30 to $100, really within hours. And and that for us was kind of a proof, that this has legs. And by the next morning, less than 2% of the total supply of Booze Bears was for sale. So people
Nice.
just delisted it. Yeah. So the communities, they have been synergistic. So we have a lot of Booze Bears in our space. The funny thing is, those Booze Bears that were below that $100 threshold in terms of price, I think probably 95% of them were bought from inside our community. Yeah, because kind of people did the math and said, well, if I buy 5 Booze Bears, under $100, it's actually
They all want more beer.
yeah, actually, it's actually a nice add-on, and it's a bargain. So I buy a couple of Booze Bears. So that was a really good experience. Another project that we've been very friendly with, they have been very supportive to us, and we've a lot of conversations going on, is the Alpha Trader Country Club.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome bunch of people, very, very cool people, very knowledgeable about the space, about trading. They really do their due diligence also on projects, and we seem to fit in there. So we've had, I would really say that certainly also is a partner project of ours, and then there's more to come. Yeah, so there's more in the pipeline. The funny thing actually is, and just to mention, we also did an Ape Brew after the Ape Fest in New York. And while for the Moonbirds Brew, within 48 hours on the Moonbirds Brew, we had more than 400 orders. For the Ape Brew, it was less than 10.
What did you take from that, though?
Is it saturated, the Bored Ape brand now, for collaborations and partnerships?
I have a feeling that there's less of a kind of real brand loyalty, or less than they're less fans of the brands than rather kind of they're using the ape to basically show off. Yeah. So I mean, there's probably part of the community that has been in early and is just overwhelmed by kind of where it has gone. But there's also, I think by now, there's a big part of people that kind of just use it as a status symbol. And and we also didn't know kind of what conclusion we should draw about this. But when we announced Moonbirds, it was all over. Moonbirds back and forth, tweeting, retweeting, kind of coming into our Discord, kind of ordering the beer. It was nothing. Silence. Zero. No one picking it up. As I said, less than 10 orders. I don't know. I don't draw a conclusion here. I leave that for the audience.
Let's kind of get onto the real nitty-gritty before we do close off. Let's just keep it real clear. Your mint is imminent. It's the 22nd of September. It's $1,000 per token, and obviously you get between, I think it says 160 and 240 cans depending on what you mint. Is there anything else that our audience need to know about the mint? Is there anything that they must do? Anything they should be looking for? Or
I mean, there's one thing I said before. You can mint by connecting your Ethereum wallet or by credit card, and I think that's an important thing, particularly in the current market. If someone actually doesn't want to go into ETH or doesn't have an account at a crypto exchange yet or whatever. So we offer that kind of easy usability of just paying for the NFT by credit card. That's the one thing I want to emphasize. The other thing is you can still get on the whitelist. And our concept for whitelist is you don't have to grind in our Discord. You just drink a beer with us. So if you go to metabrewsociety.com and you order a 3-pack of beer, that gets you right onto the whitelist. Because
I love it. I love that. That's great.
That's how our community is. Yeah. So we have tons of people come into our Discord, offer their services as moderators and whatever to actually activate the community. You know what? We have a very active community. It's just not that kind of the chat just doesn't flow in seconds. It just flows in kind of minute steps, but it's very active. And
it takes a while to type after a few beers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we just think kind of, yeah, we want the people that are in it for the beer. So kind of, if you order our beer and you like it, and you're on the whitelist, then yeah, you have a guaranteed mint.
I love it. I'm on board. We're obviously very privileged to be joining you out for the September Beer Fest, which we're really looking forward to. Obviously, it'll be great to catch up and kind of really see the brand in operation. I think it's nice that we get that hands-on approach pretty quickly as well. There's no messing about, and I think one of the best things for me, at least, is actually just getting some beer. Like, we've been to so many of these events this year where I've paid $14 for a can of warm beer. I'm looking forward to going to a crypto-related event where the beer is free, the beer is good, and it's just, that is nice. I can't lie. I am excited. I am excited.
And you know what? You won't have to stand in line for the beer. So we have so many taps lined up that there are going to be no lines.
This is just getting better and better. Honestly, I'm feeling good. My final question for every guest, Holger, is always the same, and it's the hardest one I can ask because I'm sure there's so much you want to say that won't fit within a minute. But if you could sum up MetaBrew Society in a minute or less, how would you do it?
Well, it's the first NFT project with a real brewery. And our goal is, with the help of the community, to build an exceptional Web3 brand, Web3 beer brand, that is going to be the first Web3 beer brand. And we can build together, I think, a lasting, leading Web3 beer brand. And our goal is free beer for life. And that's what we can achieve with the help of the community. And we're sure that in 3 years from now, we have a big fest where we celebrate that we will go on with shipping the 200 cans beer allowance per year in perpetuity.
That was genuinely really succinct. It's always a question which I wonder whether is going to be quite tricky to answer. But genuinely, Holger, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll make sure to, of course, drop all of the relevant links to MBS, to your Twitter, to the website directly, and all of the mint details will be posted, of course, live with this video. I've been your host, Calcio, joined as always by my fellow host, Jimmy T, on the RCS podcast. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure.